It was, hello, Chris. I've noticed a pattern with your posts, Chris, on here. It's great. You're always saying, thank you for presenting. And I didn't even have to use a large language model to figure that one out. But it's a fantastic social engineering technique. One I highly recommend when you join an online forum like this. Well, first of all, usually listen, lurk, and learn, 3 L's. And then, but second, say hi in chat. This way people get to know who you are. Great way to do it, particularly with the more intimate crowd here at VetSecCon. And then the next tip you may have gotten from others, and this is for you, Chris. And yeah, I'm starting now. Why not? My session. Another tip, when you meet new people, quickly look them up to see who they may be, particularly just through LinkedIn. So it's not even cyber stalking. I do it because how do I know, Chris, you're not really AI? Chris Y. Yeah, friendly research. Exactly. Well, and then it's like, wait, Michael, I remember seeing your name before. Oh, yes, we have connected before. Who you can still be very polite and do it. Quick story though, I was going through a legal matter a number of years ago and I was talking with different attorneys. And of course, I do a little bit of open source intelligence research on almost anybody I meet, and I encourage people you can do it to me. And I found out where a particular attorney went to law school, and I asked him questions, and he's like, "Are you cyber stalking me? You're invading my privacy." I'm like, "Okay, an attorney who doesn't know about privacy. Don't know if I want to work with that person." Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even, yeah. I'm not talking dark web, and this was just 2 minute. Another quick story as we are waiting for people. This is great warm up for me, by the way. So if you're wondering, well, quick before I go to my story, the hardest 2 minutes before presenting is the 2 minutes before you're officially allowed to start, because then people, if you're in a physical room, are looking at you and you're just kind of like sitting there. That's why bands have warm up acts. Now I forgot where I was going to go with my other point. I'm in trouble. Talking about, oh, open source intelligence. Are you familiar with the OSINT framework? Bring that up. Been a while since I've hung out at the OSINT framework. Mm, That's where I was going. I shared in chat the open source intelligence framework, OSINT framework, as a resource for being able to just find information on the open web. It will tell you. And by the way, for those watching the recording, hi, I'm Ron. And this is my VetSecCon 2023 session. Why are you here? Surviving as a security professional. I've been involved in the security community for way too long. I almost am hesitant to say how long these days because then ageism becomes a problem. People consider me to be a dinosaur. What I love doing is just sharing my journey, where I've been, where I even hope to go. Why? All comes back to the why. Why do I like presenting at VetSecCon and other conferences? I'll be honest with you. I want to retire someday. If we don't have more cybersecurity and IT professionals, data professionals, developers who are familiar with cybersecurity, if we don't have enough, it's going to be harder for me to retire. Who do we hand this world to? I want to make sure they are ready, willing, able to take over the reins. So that's my why. I'm prior military myself. I was an Air Force intelligence officer way back in the day. I have an undergrad from Michigan State University in computer science, a graduate degree in MIS from Syracuse University. Thank you to the Air Force for paying, or at least helping to pay for both. Great way, military's great way to increase not only your education, but also your experience and certifications. And if you, so I'm going to go back to my tangent. First tip of the day. Well, Chris has already beat me to it. Same thing with Michael, but say hi in chat. Meet the people who are attending these. They could be a future boss or colleague. I've given talks all over the world, many different conferences, and I've even asked this in a room. Does anyone here bite? Bite. I asked that question a few years ago at a large conference, and then I realized there was a dog in the room. It was a helper dog for one of the people. Uh, if you go to X, formerly known as Twitter, you can look up privacy puppers. That was who was in the room, and its owner. And I'm like, no, privacy puppers doesn't even bite. It's a wonderful service dog. So jump out there. Anyway, OSINT framework you can use. So what's this talk about? You may be wondering. I was asked, well, and the VetSec core group put out the call for speakers, and I'm not shy. I always have something to say. Hopefully, it's of value. And I love sharing my knowledge. I do have slides, may or may not get to any. Let me ask the people in the room, the four other people besides me, what do you want to hear? What value can I provide to you today? Are there any topics that you're looking through the list from VetSetCon 23 and it's like, well, I really haven't heard or I have a question on? Throw it in the chat. Don't be shy. I heard Evan's talk from earlier. I'm excited. He had a really nice talk. He said something I'm passionate about. There are no stupid questions. Okay, I've heard a couple, but out of the thousands of questions, so let's just say I've heard 2,000 questions. Two of them were maybe ones they should do research. That's what, 0.1% or 0.01%? Any math people? Anyway, I love those odds. I'll go with them any day. So ask a question. If it's something that shouldn't be asked, it's okay. So if there are any topics, I'm going to go back to OSINT framework. So OSINT framework you can use to help do research. Tracy had a fun talk earlier today, and I've known Tracy, infosec Sherpa, for a few years. After a while, we run in the same circles. A wonderful person, and she mentioned about do your homework, do your research. I tell high school students and young college students I work with, because I do teach as well, homework begins after you graduate. No more teachers, no more books. Anyway, guess what? You're always reading, you're always studying, you should always be learning. So, the tip from Evan, ask the questions. OSINT framework will help you do that research. I once, very recently, within the last couple of months, got an email from a salesperson from a company that competes for the one who is my day job. Look me up on LinkedIn, you can find my day job. I replied back, I try to always be polite. I appreciate you contacting me. If you look me up on LinkedIn, you'll see I work for your competitor. I don't think it's a good idea that we talk. This person replied back to me rather rudely saying, "Well, I couldn't find you on LinkedIn." I'm like, "Yeah, no, that doesn't count. I make myself very easy to find on purpose." Oh, let's see. Good. You're not afraid. I'm not either, Chris. I'm the one jerk in the back of the room who'll always ask a question. And my friends know this now. So if they're presenting and no one's asking a question, they'll say, "Hey, Ron, what question do you have?" And then I'm on the spot. I have to come up with one. It's actually a fun challenge. So do research as you're talking, working with people. Let's see, Michael, you hear a lot about getting your foot in the door by working in a sock. I'm gonna have to put on my glasses so I can actually read this. There isn't much information on how to move past the sock other than getting good at programming and becoming an engineer. What ways make that next step who isn't quite technical enough to be an engineer or architect? So Jack Scott, if you're not connected with her on LinkedIn, connect with her. She's got a great podcast. She's a fantastic human being. Um, Mention this. CTFs, capture the flags, participate in those. Get book bundles. Just start learning on your own. Do what the youngest and younger generations do. Pull it up on YouTube. What do you want to learn? Now I know there's so many things to learn. Just start pulling on a string. You're a SOC analyst. What systems are part of that SOC? Almost guaranteed there's going to be Windows servers, both maybe on-prem and within Azure. Linux, Evan mentioned this as well. Learn Linux. Uh, Let me ask you, how much does Linux cost? I mean, it's used all over the world. Linux, it's got to be really expensive, right? To roll your own, build your own Linux system? Exactly. Free. So begin using it. Grab an older laptop. Just find an old, even 2 gig system. Go to a used computer shop and reinstall it with Linux. In this way, you have a test box. Um, to go to a pawn, make sure it's not anything that was illegally acquired. Um, you can go buy a Raspberry Pi. They're $100. You can use VirtualBox, spin up Linux in a virtual environment on your home system. And just sometimes the problem with Linux, well, what do I do with it? Just begin learning how to use the command line. I was once working with a younger person, young lady, who was very nervous, and I was just showing the Windows command prompt. She did not want to hurt the computer. So I showed her how to pull up the command prompt. So do this now. You can do this, play along on the home version with me. Whether you're running a Mac or Windows, pull up a command prompt. Type anything. She actually came back and said, "What do I type anything? What should I type?" And I'm like, "Literally type the word anything and hit enter." I'm like, "What happened?" "Nothing. I just got an error." I forget the error message. And I'm like, "Exactly. If you can hurt the system through learning, well, it's a great way to learn." So, Michael, this is a fantastic question. Um, Volunteer. I know Jack's mentioned that and others. Volunteer with VetSec, volunteer in your community. Go to senior centers and offer to help seniors as their tech support. By the way, they very well, don't ask for money. They very well may pay you anyway. They'll probably try to give you their password. You learn how to put it in short-term RAM and erase it immediately after, if that happens, because invariably that will. Yeah, Kali. Learn how to use Kali Linux. It's a free one with security tools built in. Also, so if you have a job as a SOC analyst working for an organization, meet others within that organization. Even as a SOC analyst, the organization is going to have a security team internally to make sure that the SOC stays safe. So meet the internal people, meet the IT administrators. It is about networking, getting out and not being shy to go in front of people. And just, hey, I heard you have this role. Can you tell me about what you do? A few years ago, had got a job as a security engineer for a large financial firm. And I like doing the technical things, but I was looking to get into management. What I did, well, just a couple months in, I met the security directors. I'm like, hey, can we just find some time to sit and chat? I just want to learn more about you. We found, and it might take some time, a few weeks, but most people will make at least half hour for you. Usually it's easy to find free half hour somewhere, even if it's over coffee, lunch. Keep it low key, keep it easy. I did that with a gentleman friend of mine now who was in charge of physical security. He's also former military, so we had that bond. He's also former Air Force. We lived in the same city. This is when people actually worked together in the same location. So we had being military already a common bond. Take advantage of that in a positive way. And we chatted and got to know each other. A f- Flash forward a few months, he was looking for a security manager to do security awareness. And as they were converging physical and cyber security, he needed someone with the cyber knowledge. So it was actually really easy when he was looking to hire somebody. I just went and said, hey, how about me? Worked really well. Where do you go to participate in CTF tournaments? Great question. Let's see. And if anyone has any answers, please put them in chat. Google has a CTF. There's a site called, so if you notice, I was Googling because I couldn't remember it. I fully admit sometimes I don't remember everything. So CTF time is one location. Dated though, oh my gosh. Okay, so that might not be the most recent. CTF, I'm just Googling. Oh, CTF, capture the flag is what we're talking about. Hack the box is another. CTF 101, or local conferences. Around the globe are local cybersecurity conferences. They're often known as B-sides, or if they're not associated with B-sides branding, they are also known as, yeah, it's B-side cybersecurity. There you go. I'm pulling up the website. It is security, the letter B, and sides.com. Why am I saying that about CTFs? You can go to a security B sides. They often will have a capture the flag competition as a part of it. Don't worry if you don't do well. It's the act of doing it. If it's something you can go and do in person, again, you'll meet other people in the room also doing it. They tend to be rather friendly. It can be intimidating 'cause you're gonna see some people who have awesome cyber skills, who can do things with one finger that you can't do with 10 in both feet. But I have never met a jerk doing it. I've not met someone who is unpleasant. I mean, unless they are so focused, they're competing, yeah, but when there's a break, that's when you meet them. Um, yeah, CTFs, you can participate. There's one here with VetSec you can participate in. And even if you're not getting many of the answers, when it's done, find someone else who did it and said, "Hey, can you help coach me?" You may know something they don't. So that's another way to build those technical skills. Learning about the cloud. Someone put in chat from an earlier session, Look at the major companies like Splunk. So Splunk is a SIM, security incident event management system, log correlation. They have free training. Go take it. Take time, invest in yourself. There's another one. Let's see. You're writing, just reading Michael's chat, working on a write up for a CTF. Yeah. One point I want to make, so CTFs teach you more than the technical. They teach you about the writing and documentation. The idea with an organization is to make yourself valuable. Often that's in doing things people don't want to do. Take on those things that, find. So, what is it most people hate to do? Unless you're really good at it and you find it easy. Anyone have any guesses you want to throw in chat? What is something most don't like to do? Ding, 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 ding. Michael got it. Documentation is a four-letter word. Ask anyone in IT. Hey, can you document that process? Can I just write a script for it? Is my script considered documentation? Not really, no. You still are supposed to document your script. So this way the next person that grabs it knows what you did. Learning how to write. So these are the interpersonal skills. How to write, how to talk to others. What I've done in organizations is I will take on helping build the policies and procedures. I've gotten good at it, so it's not hard for me. Do I really like it? No, no, but it's not hard. Usually just takes time. So work on those skills. I've seen that get as many people jobs. Let me ask you, for those who are here, all other 5 other people, how many of you have a blog or podcast? Have you started your own blog or podcast? Yes, and it is terrible everywhere. That's why usually an opportunity, even if you're working in a SOC, security operations center, you're going to find some undocumented or old processes and be the one to volunteer to improve them. So you were thinking about starting a blog. You have a GitHub? Good. So I'm going to pull on that thread a little bit, Chris, and air quote pick on you a little bit. So data analyst SQL portfolio is a perfect topic to talk about in cybersecurity. Now, the challenge is you're going to be like, but that's data. That's not cybersecurity. OMG, they are very related. So here's a problem we have in the industry. Just to let you know, I literally just got back from Nashville this week. I was at Nashville for the ISC2, formerly known as ISC Squared, Congress. ISC2 are the ones who do CISSP. Michael's a CISSP. I've had mine for many moon. Um, common. So I was on a panel there talking about careers. I also heard a fantastic panel on military careers. People will say, particularly HR, well, we're looking for cybersecurity analysts, not data analyst. And all of us who've been doing it for a while, we're doing a face palm, rubbing our heads out of frustration because as a data analyst, you learn the analysis skills, you learn about what is that data. You also learn the value of the data, which then ties back into GRC, Chris, because where do you start with GRC? What is the value of what I'm protecting? Whether it's data or systems or people. So you just got CC from ISC2. Excellent. Congratulations. Hey, Chris, I'm going to make your life easier. It's now ISC2. They got rid of the parentheses 2 months ago because parentheses are a pain to type. And you think, oh, he's being funny. I'm actually not kidding. um, they wanted to simplify. They were panicked because they were. I've been part of their advisory council for a while, and they were like, "Are people gonna lose their identity if we switch from ISC squared to ISC2?" And it's like, no, none of us are gonna. It's not that big of a deal. So again, this talk today is more just random thoughts. We talked about joining local cons, local meetups, local groups. ISC2, formerly ISC squared, ISACA, ISSA, Infraguard, OWASP. I'm going to repeat those. ISC2, ISACA, ISSA, Infraguard, OWASP are all good groups to join. They often have a local chapter where you can again go and meet people. So, Chris, you're now part of the ISC2 air quote family. So you can go to different chapters saying, "Hey, I just got my CC." And again, they're going to be like, "Awesome, come on in, join our party." Because that's the idea. Why ISC2 made it available for free is they're realized we have this problem, all of these opportunities, all of the jobs. Has anyone yet talked about cyberseek yet? Has anyone how many of you are familiar with cyberseek? And if you have a question in chat, go ahead and ask. You are not. All right. Bing, bing, bing. I got to pull up one other website, NICCS cyber career. So the U.S. federal government, if we're going to do something, they don't just do it once. They usually do it multiple times. There's different parts of an agency or different agencies that will repeat things. Cyber, so both of these are run through CISA, Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, aka CISA. A quick tangent. Jen Easterly, who's the head of CISA, is fantastic, wonderful human being. I've never heard anything negative said about her, which is kind of odd. And that means she's real. Follow her. She's the head of CISA. Anyway, here's two tools for you to use as you're looking at expanding your career. They both provide different paths you can take for a cybersecurity career. You can use them to see where are jobs, that's the heat map. What is the average salary? So a question that got asked at the military career panel I was at earlier, you know, how much should I ask for? I'm transitioning from the military. And they ask, so what amount are you looking for? You can use the heat map to get a general idea. Because of the California and a few other states, salaries now need to be a lot more visible. Companies used to hide those salaries, or they'd give a range. It's between 30,000 and 130,000. They can't do that anymore. It's got to be within 10%, I believe, or something like that. So look at similar jobs. What do you do when they start off with, what is your desired salary? I usually put off that as long as I can. Why? I wanna find out about the job. They could be yes, it could be 6 figures, you know, multiple, but if it sucks, it's not worth it. You'll be there for a year, maybe 2, and you'll be looking for something else. And it could be a good career stepping stone for you, but there's that challenge. So just, you know, I usually put it off saying, "Well, really, it will depend. I'm looking for this range." And I will then reply with a range. letting people know I'm looking to see the whole package though. What are you going to provide? Yeah, me as a person, I want to make sure the role is a good fit. It would also be a big flag for me. If I was interviewing somebody and they, yeah, started off with, well, so how much is this, does this job pay? Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Would basically do. You can also do this. I've done this in interviews. It turned out they were grilling me. They were asking me, so what's the flag, the Linux flag to see hidden files? When you're doing a listing, directory listing. It was a lot harder than that though. And I could see they were just trying to see only technical knowledge, not to see if the position would be a good fit. And they were not being pleasant about it. And this person would have been my new boss if I had gotten hired and accepted. It's like, yeah, make sure the fit is good for you. Hopefully, I'm answering your questions. What other questions do you have? You will find I have thousands of different resources. I've had a presentation I've given on and off over the years called Free Security. There are a lot of free resources. Um, I'm going to look up another one. Cybersecurity, CAO. Are you looking for good books to read? You're wondering, so what book should I read to learn more about cybersecurity, Ron? I hear that as a question right now. Pretend one of you just asked me the question, okay? Play with it. Join me here. You can go to Cybersecurity Canon. It's the cybersecurity book hall of fame. It, very well known. I'm trying to think if there are any other book hall of fames. The only other one would be our SA conference. Who's trying to be agnostic when it comes to cybersecurity books. It's they provide book reviews. You can follow them on X, known as Twitter. Um, Someone just tagged me. I think Chris, you just did. So that's why it's like if I look surprised, all of a sudden it's like you woke me up. Thank you. Cybersecurity Book Hall of Fame, Cybersecurity Canon. Cybersecurity professionals put out book reviews. Rick Howard, who's on CyberWire podcast, he was the former CISO of Palo Alto. He started it 10 years ago. I've written book reviews for it as well. Again, I just did it to get my name out. Let's see. How can you access the talk about about the different free resources? It is a little dated, but you'd be surprised how many of them are still valid. Give me 1 second. Pause. If you heard something in the background, I'm pulling. Go 1 second. Let me go back. Find myself on. There I am. I'm pulling up my YouTube channel. Copy link. And yes, I do have a YouTube channel. And no, I don't have millions of subscribers. I also do have a TEDx talk, by the way. There I am. Oh, and when you're putting links, if you see a question mark in the link, delete everything to the right of the question mark. That's all metadata that hackers like me take to learn what you're doing with the link. So that's my YouTube channel. I don't make any money off of it. I'm not looking to make any money off of it. Why I support VetSec. You can go and look at a lot of my previous videos. I have other ones from VetSecCon. It's hard to say, including I think the first VetSec Con, I talked about how not to suck in cybersecurity because we do have a lot of people who are challenged. Okay, so what other questions do you have besides where do you go to learn more? Career transitioning. What you want to do is grab a DeLorean and go 10 years in the future and ask that future what would you have told your past self? Where do you want to be in 10 years? What do you want to do? Now, I know there's so many choices going back to CyberSeek and the other website I provided. Pick one. You can always pivot as needed. Um, and just start working towards it. Find people you admire and ask for their ideas. How do I get to be you? How do I get into your type of position? And most people are going to be really cool about it. Worst thing they'll do is say, "Hey, I'm really busy right now," and then they ghost you. So, yes, from Tracy's talk earlier about giving resources. So let me pull up something. I'm a big one on that as well, mainly because I like to share. Um, Let me find this. Anyone else like cheat sheets? And I know that's really weird for a college professor to say, an instructor to say. I love cheat sheets. There's just too much to learn in the world, and it's no longer what you keep up here and what do you have memorized, but how do you use the information in front of you? So I put in chat a bunch of cheat sheets. Look up Lenny Zeltzer, a wonderful human being as well. Got to know him over the years as well, and I again, he's not doing this to make money. He's one of the foremost experts in reverse malware engineering. He teaches for SANS, often at conferences. Those are his cheat sheets. He has one on sucking in cybersecurity. He has one on documenting. He has one on reverse malware engineering. So, yes, you have many cheat sheets. You need an index of cheat sheets. I get it. After a while, you kind of begin to have your go-to cheat sheets. Um, yeah, or I just create a simple text document where I just index. Uh, but you also know who to trust, who to follow. So pivoting your career, develop your career plan, write it down. Know where your strengths and weaknesses are. Okay, so common interview question. Yeah. So tell me a time when you were challenged in a position. They're listening for your weaknesses. I'll be straight up. My weakness, my kryptonite is accounting. I started taking an accounting course once. This was when I was active duty. I had to go uh, TDY in the middle, but it was also driving me crazy because this was in the day of actual double entry accounting in books. Um, it wasn't my dad's thing either, so it's somewhat genetic. Thank you, Dad. No. So if the job is going to have a lot of accounting in it, I'll pass. What I do is I find someone who's really good at that, and we then barter. I help them with something they're not very good at, and together, they take care of the accounting. So, um, what do you develop your career plan? Write down what do you love to do. If you can take some of those awareness tests, about learning about who you are, test drive it, try it out to see if it's something you want to do. Again, as you're pivoting in careers, find the person in that job and then build your path. You can use the tools like I put, but actually write down, I'm going to need these certifications. I'm going to need education. I'm going to need experience. A common question asked about cyber careers is, yeah, what do I need more? Should I get a degree or should I get a cert? Yes. If you're military, you can use your GI Bill. I do recommend education for some reasons. And you could say self-serving, you're an educator on. You learn how to write, you learn the communication skills, and it's a safe environment to get feedback. I went through Air Force ROTC undergraduate. One of the things we got taught in class was fight for feedback. If you are taking a class and the professor is phoning it in, call them out. It's their bloody job to provide you feedback. Ask for more. Again, what's the worst thing they'll do? If they do something really unethical and try to give you an F, that's where I jump. But that's like 0.001% who's going to do that. Most are going to be like, oh my gosh, I have a student who wants feedback. And they're going to be so excited because most students are, how do I check the box and finish this class and pass? Go to the professor at the beginning of the class, virtual or in person, and say, hi, I'm here to learn. And I'm hoping you can help me on my journey. They'll just, they won't know, they'll be speechless. It'll be so funny. Um, but it's going to be really good because then you will develop the rapport. Building that rapport is good. It's called filling the bucket. If you look at the Gallup books, you're filling the professor's bucket. And let's just say you're going to be late with homework 6, 8 weeks in. I do this. If I have a student who's been really good so far and they send me a note, hey, I'm running late this week, just got home from travel. I can I have a 24-hour extension? Most are going to be really cool about it. And be like, "Yeah, okay, yeah." You know, some are going to be more rigid than others, but I actually was just talking to somebody, new friend, who's taking graduate classes, and she had to be late with her homework, and the professor only took off 5 out of 50 points for being late, and she's like, "I was expecting a lot more." I'm like, "Yeah, that's actually the way I've trained a lot of other instructors. If you're cool, we'll be cool back." Let's see, international student. Oh, okay. Learning the programming. So go learn about OWASP, OWASP.org. If you're in programming, learn about their top 10. Yeah, occasionally you're going to find some. So I'm reading the chat, may find someone who's not willing to help you. You're going to find that anywhere. This way, you at least know right away. Okay, that person won't help me on the journey, than not to spend a whole lot of time with them. I'd rather know that up front. This way, you know where to look for help. It's actually a risk equation. Learn the way to really do better risk analysis is to pull in more data. Now you're seeing the Venn diagram, data, IT, cybersecurity. The more data you can pull in, the better your analysis. You can begin to move from qualitative risk analysis to quantitative risk analysis. Anyway, there's lots of resources. OWASP is another free international tool. If you're programming, learn their top 10 web application vulnerabilities that are in their 20th year. Let's see, and I think I go until 2:45. What other questions do you have? How else can I help? So, yeah, vet the program, look up the instructor on LinkedIn, see yeah, how much they are on LinkedIn or their other work. Social engineer your instructors, learning a little bit more about them. Yeah. And again, you're going to find more of the traditional professors who, are looking just, it's a job for them. Let's see, what else did I want to make sure I cover? Oh, something I have not yet heard. I was only able to attend today's sessions. Yes, someone did mention it. How to use Chat GPT. So let me ask you, how many of you are on Chat GPT or the equivalent? Whether it's, what is it, Bard? Who is it, Microsoft Bard? And Google. Have you experimented with it? I have a colleague who I asked that question. He's like, "Oh no, I'm not going to touch it. It's too dangerous." And I'm like, "Dude, no. We have to take a hacker's mentality, begin playing with it. Don't shy away from the tool because it may have a bad rep. Okay? It's a tool. Nmap is a tool. You're looking for other general security tools. And keep in mind, this site is very dated at this point. But even though they're oldies but goodies, I'm going to throw a site in chat. Sectools.org has a list of tools. But yeah, play with it. Learn how to use it to your benefit. Go ahead and use it to help write your resume. Wait, what? Yeah. Now, don't just blindly take the answer and put it as your resume. Don't do that for any resource. So ChatGPT, from an educator point of view, aren't you scared of students using it to cheat? Okay, why am I not scared? You are in an interview and they ask you, tell me about layer 4 of the OSI model. Where's my prop? Where's my prop? I'm looking for my phone. Of course, I can't find it. Okay, pretend I have my phone on me. You're in an interview and they ask about layer 4 of the OSI model. You can't pull up your phone and quickly type in, and read the response from Chat GPT. Even on a virtual one, if they see you typing a lot and talking really slow and then you speed up and you're reading a response, they will know. They're looking to know what you have up here. That's the way I run my classes as well. I'm not looking for the book answer. I'm looking for your answer. So that's why you want to practice interviewing as well. Find a colleague, find a friend, find somebody else who can help you to and ask, hey, can we run through some mock interviews and just role play interviewing? Yep. Oh, you don't remember the layers of the OSI model? Okay. So using the US acrostic, please do not throw sausage pizza away. Physical data, network, transport, session, presentation, application. Bottom up. I can do it the other way as well. What is layer 8? What's layer 8? Please do not throw sausage pizzas away is how you can remember it. Seriously, Google it. Now you'll never forget that as a way to remember the OSI 7-layer model. Layer 8 is the human layer. So if someone says, yeah, we have a layer 8 issue, it's a human layer. You may also see it as an ID 10T issue, or if you're reading it in English, you may be laughing right now. With that, I believe I'm just about done. If you have other questions, comments, critiques, reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's where I primarily do a lot of my social media. I'm not really on X, formerly known as Twitter, very often. I just mainly time, a little bit drama. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for participating in VetSec Con 23. And until we meet again, enjoy. And I like to end a minute early, by the way, because that way you have a minute to go and grab something to eat or drink and make it to the next session. Oh, they usually have me every year. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, reach out. Let me know how I can help you. So they can't get rid of me at this point, which is it's all right. I enjoy it. And you can just call me Ron. Easy enough. Okay, now I think my time is up. Enjoy the last session.